Hello, Guitar Smarts fans. Before you check out this podcast, I want to make you aware of a cool new place where you can interact with other Guitar Smarts listeners. It's a Facebook group called the Guitar Geek Hangout. That's where we hang out and talk about all things guitar. So, if you like the Guitar Smarts podcast, come and chat with Kieran and myself over in the Guitar Geek Hangout on Facebook. Maybe check out some pre-podcast clips and even get involved in asking and answering lots of questions from the other page dwellers. Hope to see you there.
But if it did then turn into a new profession for me, wow, that would be super cool. I feel like this has turned into some sort of therapy session about how I need to reassess my life goals and current trajectory and plan.
I just feel like you're holding back. You know?
Oh, stop it! Don't. I'm going to go into a spiral of questioning my life choices now.
Greetings, welcome back to the Guitar Smarts podcast. So, recent Eric Bibb gigs, Helix programming skills for wedding gigs, fret dressing anxiety, Luthiery dreams, and much more. This week is a mixed bag of conversation of many things, but nothing in particular. Hope you enjoy it. Housekeeping, remember to like and subscribe to this podcast. This way you won't miss the next show. There is a LinkTree in the description of this show where you can follow links to our Buy Me a Coffee page, links to some of our other Spotify playlists, social media pages, especially the Guitar Geek Hangout page on Facebook, where you can interact with Kieran, myself, and many other guitar nerds just like us. Anyway, have a great couple of weeks. Remember, if you have any comments or requests for the show, you can reach out to us through our social media pages. That's about enough from me. Let's get to it. Kieran, it's Friday. How you doing, mate? You well?
I'm really good. It's good to see you. It feels like we've had a little break for a week or so, haven't we? We had an Easter holiday.
Exactly.
And so we're back in after that. So yeah, mate, I'm really good. But it's lovely to see your beaming face and chat to you today. It feels like it's been too long. I'm having withdrawal.
Likewise. It has been a while, hasn't it? It's nice. It's nice to get back to it. Sit down with a nice little cup of tea and have a chat about random guitar-based things or less random things. Who knows? Not all of these are planned.
Some are very meticulously planned to the nth degree.
That's right.
Some are just the ramblings of two middle-aged men who love guitars.
There we go. That's right. Today might be a ramblings one, I think, but it'd be a good one nonetheless because there's some interesting news about. But anyway, so considering it has been a few weeks since we've had a proper catch-up, mate, what's new? What's anything to report? Gig reports or anything like that? What's happening? What's going on?
Yeah, so the band's been gigging a fair bit, which is lovely. Thoroughly enjoying the set list at the moment. A few new numbers have bedded in really nicely now, which I'm really enjoying playing.
Nice.
And the band's getting tighter and.
Feeling it, are you? You're feeling it kind of locking down a bit. Awesome.
I am feeling it. And the last few gigs, like there's been no major mistakes or anything. I mean, to be honest, when you're playing a set list, there'll always be the odd note and things that will slip here and there, but no one will notice in the audience. It's only amongst the band that it happens, right? And you give each other a wry look and take the piss out of each other, but no one notices. There's been a few gigs where I've dropped a clanger, but again, not that anyone would necessarily notice other than the band. But that's the pressure of kind of being the only kind of main harmony melodic instrument, and like it's all on you. And but that hasn't happened for a good few gigs now, and I'm locked in now, and the band's feeling tighter, and we're introducing new material, and it's bedding in nicely. And I'm just, I'm feeling in a good place, not a complacent place, because you can't be complacent when you're doing those types of gigs where you're the only one. But it's gone now from a point of me being anxious before a gig to me like a healthy amount of anxiety, but not anything like disturbing. But to me now, having an adrenaline buzz before a gig and going, come on, let's do this. We got it. And just enjoying it and being comfortable with the set and feeling it with the band. So yeah, we've had a good run of gigs recently. Having said that, we've got 2 weeks break now and no gigs for 2 weeks. So it feels weird this weekend not to be gigging. But yeah, so on that front, the band is all good.
Excellent.
I went and saw this week with a school friend of mine, my oldest friend. He and I have known each other since we were, 11, 12 years old.
Wow.
And we are now wise men, wise and older men. But we only live, we've kind of moved around in different places and with work and stuff over the years, but now we live like 10 minutes drive from each other.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful. We've got kids kind of similar age and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we spend more time together these days, which is lovely. But he messaged me and he said, I've got 2 front row tickets to go and see Eric Bibb in Basingstoke, which is not too far from where we live. It's about an hour's drive. And he said, do you fancy going? And I was like, this is brilliant. It's just one of those spontaneous kind of things where, there's no pre-arrangement or anything like that. I knew he's a fan of Eric Bibb. And he'd just gone and got 2 tickets and thought that I'd like to join him for it. And it was just like, yeah, okay, great. I'll come along. And Eric Bibb's one of those kind of American blues roots, kind of folk, soul instrumentalist that I've known about for a while and listened to a fair few of his tracks within various playlists and stuff, but never fully immersed myself in his entire back catalogue, of which there is a huge back catalogue. So it was a lovely gig for me to just go to, knowing a few songs and obviously loving blues music, to just go and listen to songs for the first time for me and see what resonated. And just, first, the Anvil, this venue in Basingstoke, it's brilliant. If anyone lives anywhere near that.
I've never been, but I work. That's where I work. My head office is in Basingstoke, and I've often wondered about I wonder if that's a good venue to go and see some people play.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It's a beautiful little auditorium, fantastic acoustics, particularly for this type of music, which had a lot of space and a lot of feel. And it was a magical night, mate. It was just really, really chilled, really lovely music. We had literally front row seats, so it felt like we were sitting in somebody's lounge watching these guys play. It was that close to the interaction. And yeah, man, phenomenal playing. A real variety of his back catalogue being played, as well as his latest album called Riding, which has just come out. But what's nice about Eric Bibb is that he has got that dynamic ability to play a range of songs, everything from out and out kind of roots, deep South blues music, through to more kind of blues folk stuff. And some of this stuff is upbeat, and some of it's kind of very parable based, and some of it's kind of very sad and poignant, and provides social commentary and all of that. So there was a whole mix, but he was very much a narrator of the show as well. And spoke beautifully and eloquently between songs before he played, and it was and had a huge reverence for his band as well. That was there, kind of just adding to what he does rather than dominating it. So it was a wonderful night. But certainly, there was a couple of songs that just left me kind of like, wow, just incredible, and to the point where the next day I found myself plugging my acoustic guitar into my Spark amp, dialing in that kind of that sound, and really going back to some rootsy kind of blues stuff. Yeah. No shredding, no noodling, just getting those turnarounds and those real kind of blues stuff. I'll send you some that I recorded yesterday on my iPhone just to try and listen to if I was getting the feel for it. But yeah, that's a good sign to me of a gig where you go and you kind of know a little bit about the artist, you thoroughly enjoy it, and then the next day you're kind of picking up the guitar and going, I need to nail some of those licks. So yeah, that was a little inspiring moment this week.
What a great gig! I mean, he's been around for donkey's years, hasn't he, Eric Bibb? He's a bit of a, like you say, a bit of a legend. One of the stalwarts of that kind of area of blues, of doing acoustic Delta inspired kind of stuff.
Yes.
Still,
I
can't think of who else does it. There's another guy his name slips my mind, who's similar to him, who's really good. His name slipped, but yeah, that's cool, man. I mean, I need to keep my eyes out for gigs like that, because that
And that venue as well, mate. There's a few coming up. There's 2 venues that I've really enjoyed. One was the 1865 in Southampton that we went to see King at, which is great. And there's some nice artists coming up there later in the year. I think Dan Patlansky is coming up there in May as well. Kind of very Stevie Ray Vaughan-esque blues style musicians. Might go down and check that out if you fancy it. But yeah, I've definitely adding the Anvil to the list. Good venue, great night as well. So yeah. So that was cool. Oh, Google. Oh, do this for me as well. Okay. If you can, right? Google Eric Bibb 2023 and just go to photos.
Eric Bibb 2023.
I want you to pull up a recent photo of him.
Yeah.
So you can see. Don't read any of the text. Just have a look at the picture. You got something coming up?
Is it a particular picture I should be looking for?
just any picture. Just any picture.
Just any picture of Eric Bibb 2023 kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got one?
Yeah.
How old do you say that guy is?
Oh, crikey. Do you know what? That is... I'm looking at a few pictures now, trying to see if I can gauge it. I don't know.
Yeah.
He looks like somebody who might be mid-50s, something like that.
I'd say so. Say so. Mid-50s, yeah?
Yeah. How old is he?
Dude is 71.
What?
Mate, I met him after the show.
Yeah.
And bought a copy of his album and had it signed. And I sent you the pictures actually of that meeting. So you'll see like my actual iPhone pictures on your phone of a recent picture of him from this week.
You had really good seats as well, didn't you?
We did have really good seats, mate. It was insane. He is 71 years old.
That's crazy. I'm just looking at the picture of you talking to him now.
Yeah.
He looks your age.
That's what my wife said. I know.
You look older than him.
I do. I'm not joking. I do. So me and my friend Mark, sorry, I forgot to name check you, Mark. I was talking about you, that you very kindly bought these tickets for us. So me and Mark, who had gone to see this gig and thoroughly loved it, and then went to meet him afterwards while we were queuing to meet him. And it was only a 2-minute queue. It was a lovely little intimate gig. I said to Mark, that was an incredible show. I mean, the guys just played for 2 hours, no breaks, engaging the audience, telling stories between songs, little jokes, creating an atmosphere, as well as performing. So you felt you got a really full experience, right? And the other surprising thing that we didn't realize or hadn't gathered until the end of the gig is that was the first leg of a tour, of a world tour that he's going on. And it didn't feel like the first leg. They were tight, like super, super tight, right? But fresh. Anyway, 2 hours, didn't drop a note, engaged the audience from start to finish. He was conducting sing-alongs with the audience as well, getting audience participation. It was a really engaging night with Eric Bibb. And I said to Mark while we were queuing, how old do you think that guy is? I've got no idea. It's kind of difficult to tell because he's an old soul, right? His wisdom and the way he talks and stuff. But and we said, yeah, he's probably about a little bit older than us, maybe 50, 71. It's insane. Wow. Insane. He just looks incredible.
He does, doesn't he? He does. Good for him. I mean, the other guy, that's it, Keb Mo. Do you know Keb Mo?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's similar to him. He's very cool. And wow, man, what a great gig.
Yeah. It was great. It was great fun. It was great fun. Yeah, no worries, man. Check out some of his stuff. I'll send you some of the songs that I really enjoyed him playing live last night. So yeah, man. And I've been doing some guitar repairs and stuff. Yeah. As per usual. Yeah, man. Life is all good. How about you? What have you been up to for the last few weeks?
Oh, well, I had a gig as well. I had a gig this weekend just gone.
Yes.
At a wedding, and this was the first time I used the Catalyst as my amp, and it was great. Honestly, absolutely loved it. I think, though, on the next gig, I'm going to try using the Catalyst actual amps, and I'm going to set up my Helix just as a pedal board, so not actually use a built-in, just out of an experiment.
Right. There's nothing that's kind of made you decide that from the gigging experience you had with the sound.
Gigging experience was great. Yeah. Okay. In fact, I set up my Helix in a different way this time because... Sorry to interrupt this conversation. However, if you're a regular listener, then you should definitely come and join us on our Facebook group, the Guitar Geek Hangout. Go and join the Guitar Geek Hangout on Facebook now before you carry on with this podcast. I'll wait here. Hey, welcome back. I found that one of the sounds I really love in the Helix is the jumpered plexi. So if you find the original like plexi, JTM, and one of the amp models you can choose is the jumpered version. So it's like both channels. The 45?
Is it the JTM? No,
this is the 100 watt one. There's a 100 watt version. There's an original JTM 45 amp model, and then like the super lead kind of, which was still a JTM, but so that was the 100 watt super lead version, and that model, there's a jumpered version, so it's kind of like, both channels jumpered, and then so you get both gains. But if you crank and this was the thing with super leads or with Marshall amps, is you had to crank everything to get that sound, not just the gains, everything. And it works
a lot.
Everything, exactly. So, and it works the same way in the Helix. If you crank both the gains, you kind of get a decent sound, but if you crank everything in the Helix, it's like pure Gary Moore, still got the blues tone kind of thing. Incredibly creamy kind of. I've just been playing it all the time with the Les Paul with those pickups into that amp model. It's just like the perfect lead sound. But the most amazing thing about it is roll the volume right down, and it cleans up like beautifully to like a really snappy, clean lead sound. But I was like, I really want to gig that sound, but I'm just a little bit uncomfortable in a wedding gig situation with getting the right sound really quickly, So I just built it into the Helix. So I just put a gain block at the beginning of everything in the Helix, and then just had different snapshots, which are like presets within a preset. That's different versions of the rig that you have set up to control that pre-volume setting. So it basically means I can stand on one pedal, and it's the equivalent of turning my volume down to where it needs to be clean, and then it was clean, even though the plexi was still cranked. So I had different volume settings for like a crunchy sound, a different volume setting for a heavier rhythm sound, and a setting for full-on lead, and I gigged with that, and it just worked brilliantly. So it was like nice to have like this way of being able to, instead of just having like a amp sound and pedals and things, I actually had, all my gain stages for my gig were actually the amp in varying stages of input level from the guitar, cool. But the amp was always cranked. And it just sounded really, really cool. And the fact that you're running the amp kind of wide open as well, even with the volume right down for the clean sound at the beginning, you're still getting all those highs. You're still getting this really open sound. And it helps that I'm doing that volume in the Helix and not on the guitar.
On the guitar,
so you're not kind of choking the guitar sound.
So there's a setting on the Helix that allows you to artificially restrict the input level that would be coming from a guitar into the amp.
Well, it's just like having a volume pedal. So you can just have if you just have a volume pedal at the beginning, but instead of actually using the pedal, instead of assigning the pedal to it, you can have different settings of that volume pedal associated with different pedals. And then I can have other pedals like delay or chorus and things like that.
Good thinking. Yeah,
so it was really, really
it's simple. Did you come up with that idea and notion yourself of if I just put a volume pedal in front of it all and then set it at different EQs and save those patches, that saves me? Or is that like a common thing people do?
I don't know. Actually, I don't know if anyone else does it. Maybe, but that's one of the great things about the Helix is it allows you to associate almost anything to a pedal. Or to a snapshot, which is not a pedal. It's like if you've got like one of those gig rig G3s or G2s, whatever, where you can have one pedal turn on multiple pedals and off, and turn on different. You can just that's the kind of thing a snapshot is in a Helix. It's where you can create a scene and save it as a scene within the preset that you have. So a pedal on a Helix could either be related to a pedal itself or something in your signal chain, or it can be assigned to like a snapshot, which is multiple things. It's quite complex to set up, but if you think innovatively about how you want your rig to work, it's really handy. You can have some things where it could be like a complete rig change But like the difference is like with like a G2 or something like that, where you're just turning loops of pedals on and off. With the Helix, that snapshot can do two things. It could have some pedals coming on and off whilst changing the settings of some of those pedals as well at the same time, like changing gain or volume like I've done. So I've tried to take advantage of that. But it mainly came out of the fact that I just really loved the sound of that particular amp model cranked with the Les Paul. So I did the whole wedding gig on the Les Paul. That's the first time in years I've done a whole gig on that guitar, partly because I've been working so hard on it to get it playing really, really well again. And the last thing I've got to do with it, and this is my other thing, is to fret dress it. And I've actually taken the dive to buy some tools. So, a leveling bar, crowning fret for file, and all that stuff. And I've just got the notched beam to make sure that the fingerboard's straight. So I'm just trying to find out which day I'm going to have the most courage to do this.
man. Oh, I'm super pleased. Super pleased. Well, I mean, go for it, man. It is actually, it is not as daunting. What it needs is time and space to do it. And also it helps to break it up into stages, so you don't get like just a kind of fatigue of doing it, because it is repetitive in many elements of it. So you kind of need a couple of hours, 2-3 hours set aside where you can do it with lots of natural light. Definitely natural light massively assists for this, rather than trying to do it at night over like desk lamps and stuff. And just taking your time and enjoying it, and not rushing any one element of it. And the actual process itself is relatively straightforward. But I'm happy to do like a for the show as well, like a step-by-step guide on doing a fret dress from basically leveling and recrowning and rebuffing frets, because we've talked about polishing frets and conditioning fingerboards and stuff, and we've talked a lot about setting up, and we've done episodes on getting your action dialed in and cutting the nut slots and all of that. But probably the next step for an intermediate kind of person to have a go on their guitar, that actually, again, with a bit of practice and taking it slow and steady, I think it's infinitely achievable to do a really decent fret level recrown and dress at home, and get your guitar to that next level. You will need a few more tools, as you've discovered, and some of those tools aren't cheap. But they're once you've got them, you've got them, and that's it. They'll pay for themselves in effect after you've done this a few times. But, we can walk through it step by step. I'm sure you've read up on how to do it as well. But there's some little tips and hints I can give people who maybe are embarking on this for the first time. I know we've got luthiers and stuff that listen to the show as well, who are experts on it, who could probably chip in as well and even help enhance the way I do it. But man, it's fun. It is fun, and it's super rewarding.
Well, this is the thing, right? This is what I've discovered, is that, the money I've spent on and invested in some of these tools, like the nut files that I've got from Hosco, and the stuff I've got from Hellfire Tools for doing the fret leveling and things like that. That money I could have paid for a couple of really decent setups from, a Luthier, or, paid for you to do it, or, anyone else. But what I've loved so much over the last few months since we did those shows on setting up things yourself is I just really enjoyed the process of like putting, I feel like I'm putting myself like into the instrument in a way by kind of like, do you know what I mean?
Completely.
You understand what I mean, don't you?
For sure.
There's 100%. Something about being more personally and physically involved with that guitar that has added something to my enjoyment in playing it. I don't think this might not make sense to some people, but I think you could have set my Les Paul and my Strat up better than I've done currently. But I think I would have enjoyed playing them less for not having been the person who brought them to that state. So there's that element of it as well. So I'm kind of like, I'm quite nervous, if I'm honest, about doing the fret dress. I know I'll do it fine. I'm going to watch video after video. I'm going to try and gain experience by proxy as much as possible before doing it, and seeing other people doing it, getting advice, seeing what some people say, trying to learn first. I'm not going to rush into it now. I've got the tools. I'm ready to do it whenever I can do it. When I'm ready, I'll do it. But, I just, I just really loved, taking these instruments and making them better than they were. Such a joy, isn't it? I can see why you enjoy working on guitar, not just because you're a guitarist.
Yeah, no, totally, man. I mean, there's elements of the guitar and the guitar world that I wish I was like much better at in all aspects, really. Like music theory, I kind of pick up little bits every now and again, and it pushes my playing forward. But I've never had a natural aptitude because I haven't invested enough time and effort into that. So it's an ongoing journey. But every time it gets better. But it feels like hard work, but I know it's worth doing. Like even listening to you talking about the programming of the Helix and stuff like that. And I've used kind of modeling stuff back in the day, but for me, it's kind of like it requires effort and it requires headspace and concentration and thinking to do that kind of stuff. Whereas for me, setting up and servicing guitars is almost the opposite. Of course, it requires concentration and effort, but I don't find it in any way fatiguing doing that. I find it relaxing. And particularly if I've got like a day ahead of me where I've got the space and time to do it, it's just one of the nicest ways I can think of to spend a day. And the reward you get from taking a guitar apart, putting it back together, having it play. When it's one of your own guitars, 100% you establish that affinity with it, and some of them fight against you, and some of them like kind of you battle with, and then it comes good. I've had customers' guitars where I've set up, and at the end of it, there is that kind of connection with the instrument where I've said, there's a couple of guitars that I can think of where I've said to the customer at the end of it, if you ever are looking to sell this guitar, please give me first refusal. Yeah. And part of that is because it's just a great guitar and needs setting up. And part of it's because, you've put like part of yourself, your soul into making it play. And then all of a sudden it responds and you go, this guitar I feel connected to now, and it plays really nicely, and it plays exactly how I want it to. And there's a particular customer who is a listener of the podcast who has a 1979 Stratocaster, which I hadn't forgotten about. That is beautiful, and I told you, if you're ever going to sell that guitar, please give me first refusal because it's really, really nice. Wow. You know who you are. So I love it. I really enjoy it, but I don't do as much of it as I used to, because I'm gigging now and work is busy and family stuff is busy. So I just, all of my business is through word of mouth and referral. I don't even need to advertise it. People just, I have a good network of musicians who come to see me and recommend me to other people. So it works out really nicely, but it is the retirement dream. In a decade or maybe a decade and a half, 10, 15 years from now, it is the dream to do what the likes of Big Ray have done, and another listener of the show is
absolutely.
I mean, he produces some phenomenal instruments.
Did you see that last one he made?
Yeah,
the orange one. Like kind of
it's stunning.
Just unbelievable.
I mean, I'm nowhere near that. I'm a good guitar tech, I would say, and I can set up a guitar really nicely. But I mean, that's proper Luthiery, and that's where I need to make the next jump. And so, and get some qualifications under my belt, get some space, and figure out how to get some machinery and where I want to do my workshop and build guitars. But the reason I'm saying that is because that's how much I enjoy it. That once I'm done with the day job, I'll keep gigging as long as I can gig. Hopefully, well into my latter autumn years. But I'd also like to spend some time seriously making guitars, not in huge volumes, but making them for enjoyment and making a little bit of money out of them if I can by selling them. That would be a wonderful way to spend my days.
What a way to do it. I'd love to make a guitar as well. I don't know if I've got a guitar in me to make, but
I'm sure you have.
Maybe, but I don't know.
Well, you should go on. You should go on this course that I went on, which I was already pretty proficient at doing some of the stuff on from a guitar tech perspective, but I didn't have a set-up business or a servicing business back then. I was just only doing it to my own instruments, but went away and built a parts caster, and that became one of my main gigging instruments after that. But what I learned on that course enabled me to then get into properly setting up a business doing guitar servicing for people. So, but even if you don't head in that direction, you'll end up with a lovely guitar and some new skills. But to be honest, I think you've accrued a lot of those skills anyway in the last few months. Once you've done the fret dressing and fret leveling, you are ready, arguably, to do a parts caster.
Yeah, I think there's some other things I'd still like to get better at. I haven't made a bone nut yet for anything. I've put a new nut on the Les Paul, mainly because the old one had a chip in one of the slots.
Yeah.
And was kind of, it was the original plastic one I thought deserved something better, but was pretty much a pre-shaped one that I just adjusted it to fit, and then properly slotted the string slots in it to get it exactly at the right height. But other than that, I'd love to have a go at like carving a new one.
Yeah.
There's a really great luthier technician that I follow on Instagram called, what's her name? I can't remember. I think it's Kez Guitar. It's this lady based in North Yorkshire. And,
cool.
And she does like Mark Knopfler's guitars.
Wow.
But she's got a really great Instagram, like fantastic workshop, just like a shed at the end of the garden thing.
Yeah.
And some of her work is just astounding. Just
I'll have to check her out.
Yeah, I mean, like, really, really incredible stuff. She'll post some pictures of, like, I mean, the kind of stuff she's doing is, I mean, like resetting necks on Merton guitars and things like that. So, like, serious neck repairs and things like that, right down to, pro setups and stuff like that. But I just find the detail in some of that stuff incredible. Even I think this is the thing, because one of the things I struggle with is patience. This is one of the reasons why I'm also a little bit kind of scared to start the fret job, because I know it's going to take a lot of patience and time.
Yes.
Doing those repetitive things like the crowning and stuff like that. And I'm just going to have to keep my patience in check and not let myself get a little bit rushed and things like that. And I think that's what astounds me the most, is that there are jobs that some technicians, like you and this, this lady Kez and other people that do, that I just know, well, not only have you just demonstrated, you've given a masterclass in how to do that specific thing, but you've given a masterclass in having patience in a process, getting something perfect. Simon Law's the same. You see some of his stuff on SVL guitars, and you just know, you look at like the bone nut that he's done, or he's like just some aging or a paint finish, and you think you've had to show some serious patience to get that right. Time, little jobs that you take a lot of time in. I think maybe that's one of the reasons why I've been enjoying it so much, is that I'm kind of teaching myself to have a little bit of patience because I've always struggled with that when it comes to engineering and things like that. I struggle to just want something to be done.
Yeah, me too, mate. I mean? Because there's always a to-do list, right? In life, there's always stuff that's on the to-do list. Some of it's guitar related, some of it's family related, some of it's work related, whatever, friendships, mowing the lawn, doing the shopping, whatever. There's always a to-do list in life, right? And this stuff has to slot in and fit in somewhere, right? Which is why, right from the off, the one thing I said is, before you do it, make sure you've got some time set aside, because I'm exactly the same, mate. Yeah. I'm impatient innately, and I've got a million things on my to-do list like you have. But the fret leveling process is such a repetitive one. And if you take your time with it, obviously, the more you do, the faster you'll get at each individual step. So you don't have to, what will probably be a half a day job for you the first time you do it will then condense into like 2 or 3 hours the next time. Then you'll be able to do it, in 2 hours. But even then, I wouldn't be pushing. I mean, it'd be interesting to know, because some of it is workshop dependent, tools dependent, and experience dependent. But it'd be interesting to know, from some of the luthiers and techs that listen to the show, how much time they set aside to do a fret level recrown full fret dress on something like a Les Paul, which is obviously slightly different to doing it on a bolt-on neck where you can just take the neck off and have at it a little bit more easily. But certainly I would be looking to do it properly. I set aside at least 2 to 3 hours to do it, which includes some breaks in between, because the individual steps, masking up, and even just doing that, masking everything up properly on a bound fingerboard like that, and then taking the time to between each step, and then the crowning process, making sure you've really crowned each fret to the absolute kind of best you can before you then start, removing all the scratches and sanding back and buffing and polishing and all of that. And you've got like 22 odd frets to do it on, 24, whatever the guitar may be. That's a repetitive piece of work. And if you kind of spend the time on the first 5 frets, but then after that you kind of go, this is getting boring, or there's something else on my to-do list that I've got to do, and then you start rushing the last half of the fingerboard. Forget it. It's not going to turn out well. You're gonna end up disappointed in the end results. Whereas if you just take the time, build in some nice breaks in between each step, and force yourself not to rush it, then it's brilliant. So that is the key thing. That's the key thing. Find a day when you've got all the time in the world that day, and then it'll be enjoyable. Yeah,
that's the key. That's the key for sure. It's just to maintain that patient approach. I will do it. I will be able to do it. I just want to make sure I get it right, because I haven't really got, it's not like I've got like a junker guitar that I can just practice on first. And I've actually considered that. I've actually thought of like going onto Facebook Marketplace and just trying to find somebody who's selling an old electric for 50 quid and just buying it and just thinking, well, now I can just have at it on this. And if it doesn't go right, or if I get something wrong, or if I think, I need to practice that, then it doesn't matter, and I'm not ruining it. Maybe I will do that.
Might be worth doing. Yeah. To be fair, I mean, I've got an old guitar neck that you could have a go on, but to be honest, you want a complete guitar to be able to see the start and finish, so you can play it afterwards. I mean, there is some merit in even just getting an old Strat neck off eBay or something like that, and Squire neck, and just having a go, so you can practice some of the techniques. I'm sure there'll be a Squire neck on eBay for like 10, 15 quid that you could just have a go at, just to practice the concepts of it. That's definitely probably a worthwhile idea, or an old junker guitar. But to be honest, mate, I can talk you through it, and we can do step by step. If you get worried, or just give me a call as you're doing it, you'll be fine. The main thing is time. It's not a complicated thing to do. There's no complex geometry or measurements or kind of specific like techniques other than the recrowning bit. There's a bit of knack to recrowning that might require a bit of practice with the file that you've got, but it's all doable.
Yeah, I'm leaning back on I'm trying to go back in my mind to my apprenticeship when, the first year of my apprenticeship, a former British Aerospace apprentice, the first year was all like old school engineering, as we did like milling and turning, sheet metal work and stuff like that. And one of the things that we did was bench fitting, which was basically just hand engineering, just using just files and hand drills and things like that to make. I made a G clamp all by hand. My dad's got it at home. But that was all like file technique. So much of that was file technique, putting blue dye down on the metal.
Okay, great.
And then trying to get the flat level. So I need to go back in my mind to even pressure across the file and stuff like that.
That's it. You've got it.
All the techniques there. I just haven't done it for a while. It's
Oh, you've totally got it. Wow. I had no idea that you'd done that kind of stuff, which I hadn't done that since A levels over here. So like high school, but in high school, I did loads of academic subjects, but then chose rather randomly because most of my teacher was like, why have you chosen to do that as well as one of your like major subjects? So I did chemistry, I did biology, human biology, because I was all set to go to dentistry school at one point, or medical school. And then I chose like woodwork and metalwork as my like. Why are you doing that? Don't you want to do like physics or maths as your third? And I was like, no. And I didn't realize why I'd chosen it at that point, but I just loved doing that kind of stuff. Yeah. And then here we are all these years later, and some of those skills, like you talking about where you did your apprenticeship, and you go, do you know what? Yeah. I am not a carpenter by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not a luthier, but I aspire to be. And part of it's daunting for me, and I'm going to have to learn all those things again. But I know I enjoy doing it when I learn those new skills. And I made all kinds of weird and wonderful stuff, and welded stuff, and made stuff on lathes, and learned basic joinery and stuff like that. I mean, I've forgotten most of it, but the same principles when you apply it to doing guitar tech stuff. Yeah, it's cool, man. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. You got it. You got it.
Have you ever designed a guitar? Have you ever just like tried and sat down and like, even though you're not a luthier yet, something you will be, I'm sure, in years to come. Have you ever like really thought about what would the Kieran's first model be like? What would you do?
Man, that's a great question, isn't it? I'm really good at critiquing guitar designs that come out and looking at something and going, this is what I love about it, and this is what I'm not a fan of. But no, I don't think I've ever sat down and, like you do when you're a kid and you just draw cars and you end up designing these cool sports cars with like 17 machine guns on it and like a rocket launcher and an ejector seat and a swimming pool out the back. Yeah. No, I haven't ever sat down and thought, if I was going to make a guitar. Do you know what? And we've talked about this on the show before, haven't we? About how guitarists are so traditional in their love of, in their. I think I fall into that camp, right? So it will probably be if I manage to do this in the future. It will probably be, at least in the first instance, before I get some serious like skills under my belt. It will be making replicas of designs that I know and love. So strats to start with, but making the bodies, making the necks, and then if I can get the skill set up to the next level, doing set neck stuff, making some kind of Les Paul designs, replicating those, because those, and it sounds dull, doesn't it? But those are genuinely the designs of guitars that excite me and make me really happy. So to be able to do that myself and build guitars like that myself, but then, as I'm sure, like any luthier, you probably then, once you know you can do that, you've kind of ticked that box, and then your creativity side and your skill set go, well, what can I build myself? I mean, I could only dream to be, like Ben from Crimson Guitars or something, where he literally just takes anything and comes up with these literally ridiculous. I mean, that's just another level. That's just genius level. But yeah, there may come a point where I think, well, this is the design that I would like. But yeah, no, my initial gut instinct, mate, if there comes a time in my life where I can make a Strat from scratch myself, or make a Les Paul from scratch myself, I'll be, that's it, man. I'll be ecstatic.
Yeah,
sad, isn't it? Sad.
Well, no, it's really not sad, but I've got to say, I think there's something. What I like about it is because it's kind of like this thing where technically with the guitar, it affords you the ability to be super creative with the design without being overly accurate about anything in terms of plans or anything. Because it's like you could take a chunk of wood, and as long as you've kind of like carved out or rounded out the net pocket nice and accurately, everything else is all up for. It's you could do what you want with it. You could kind of like just draw shapes on it and kind of try and come up with something and just like sand and carve away wood until you're happy with something. And I guess the thing is, like, I'm sure one of the first things a lot of people could do if they're learning to build guitars is to like create a new body design and attach it to an existing neck. But I guess making a guitar neck and making it the right feel and size and making it fit perfectly into that pocket and also fretboard, having a board on it or not, and fretting it, and all those things. Do you put a volute on it, depending on the neck angle? How do you get the neck angle? Actually, like the physics of making a guitar neck must be incredibly difficult to get right. I mean, even Gibson didn't get it right for a long time. It was
arguably, they still haven't got it right.
Still don't. But it was the late 60s, wasn't it, before they put the volute on it, because of the neck angle changed. The brake angle from the headstock changed. And for a long time, the bit of wood between where it met the rest of the fretwood was so... I mean, this is why historically so many Gibsons have had neck brakes, right? Because it was just the angle was, I think late 60s they kind of reduced that angle a little bit and put a volute on, so there was a chunkier bit of wood at the top of the...
Right, exactly. But, it's why you get the scarf joint on a lot of cheaper model guitars. One, because it's easier to manufacture in that way than a one-piece neck. But actually, that joint there, actually being scarfed, arguably adds a bit more strength than a single piece of wood, because all the fibres are running in one way with the wood. So it's just,
so you're not cutting through the grain where it can easily break away.
17 degrees or something, I think that break angle of that neck is, which... arguably is one of the worst designs possible from a tuning perspective and fragility perspective. Looks cool though.
Yeah.
I love it.
I'd love to try and make a Gibson style guitar, because there's something really fascinating to me. I mean, I love the Fender design that Leo came with, the bolt-on neck, because that was designed to be simple to manufacture and to assemble, by non-luthiers. Yet Gibson still maintained through that period that, you had to be a luthier to build their guitars, and everyone put so much effort into making them. You just think like a Les Paul, he's like a chunk of mahogany with a big slab of maple on top, and it's all carved perfectly, and then the neck is glued in, and it's got this big tenon that runs underneath the pickups. And it's just such an interest, and then they've got to get the angle right and carve the wood so that the neck sits in at the right angle. Because, if you don't, some people might not even realise, like a Strat is like a perfectly straight thing, isn't it? Whereas a Les Paul, you set a Les Paul straight and the neck's at a different angle. It kind of, you've got to work that out. It's just such a fascinating piece of engineering and build, to make something like that would be awesome. And that's one of the, Simon Law, again, we mentioned, who makes all those great SVL Strats and Telecasters. Occasionally he makes Les Pauls. I think he makes one or two a year.
I know.
And he sometimes posts pictures. And I don't think he even sells them. I think sometimes he does them as projects for particular people or whatever like that. And he makes them in such a traditional way and shows such fascinating things. I mean, that guy is a genius. I'd love to speak to him and pick his mind about things, but it's so great to see things made like that. I'd love to be able to do it. Maybe one day. You certainly will one day.
Well, I don't know. Well, that's it. It needs time and a bit of money and a bit of headspace to do it, mate. But certainly, if there ever was an opportunity where I won the lottery and money was no object, and once I'd taken care of friends and family and the kids and all of that, that's it. That's what I would do in a heartbeat. I would go and get myself upskilled and trained as a luthier and just build guitars and make whatever money I could. Arguably, I should just do that anyway, because life's too short. So I need to make plans. I need to make the next step. And the next step for me is to take myself properly down to Crimson Guitar School and in Dorset and do their course and get that next level of skills set up. I mean, which is brilliant to have that in our country now, that Luthier school. Because formerly, I think you probably had to go to the States and do a residential course there for a couple of years to get to that next level of skill set. If it's something that you don't innately have an aptitude for. Some people are just naturally gifted at carpentry and woodwork and stuff like that. But I'm going to need to get taught those skills and how to use the machinery and stuff. So that is the next step. So finding a slot in my life to be able to take a year out or something and do that is that's the catalyst. Yeah. I know. I'm dreaming now. Daydreaming.
Which course did you do? Because Crimson do so many courses, don't they? Not that this is
they do.
Sponsored or anything, but they do. They do 1 or 2 days setup courses and things like that, don't they? And
I'd go all in. So when I did this kind of 3 or 4 day guitar build course on the Strat course, those were like 3 or 4 of the best days of my life, apart from my wedding day and the birth of my children and all the other things that I feel obliged to say at this point. apart from those things.
Obviously, those are on a different scale.
Waking up in the morning, getting into the car, and it was a particularly nice kind of spring time of year where you'd wake up early and the birds were out and the sun was kind of just rising and it was all just like beautiful, and you'd have a little drive down to the workshop. And there'd be some blues music already playing, the kettle would be on, and you knew that the rest of the day was all clear, apart from just learning some guitar skills and building guitars. Man, I tell you what, that was 3 or 4 of the best days.
Really?
Honestly, just bliss,
Absolute
right?
Bliss.
So it's so much so that the next time, if I get an opportunity to do that and take my skills to the next level, man, to be able to do that for a few months, that would just be idyllic. That would be idyllic.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Just to learn everything. Just to, go there and have, choose what woods shall I, what trees shall I turn into an instrument and just do everything from scratch,
Absolutely, mate. And nerd out and hang out with like-minded people that are into all of this and be humbled by what they can do, but also nervous about what I can't do, but then make progress. Even if I don't become a luthier at the end of it, and even if I don't end up doing that as a retirement plan, I've not lost anything, because I'll have enjoyed the process and the journey as much as anything, and built something regardless, and have a whole new set of skills. So it's not like I'll have lost anything if it doesn't then turn into a new profession for me. But if it did then turn into a new profession for me, wow, that'd be super cool. I feel like this has turned into some sort of therapy session about how I need to reassess my life goals and current trajectory and plan.
I just feel like you're holding back,
Oh, stop it! Don't. I'm going to go into a spiral of questioning my life choices now. It's fine.
Well, do you know what we should get? Because we met Ben from Crimson, didn't we, at the London Guitar Show last year?
We did. Lovely. Really lovely guy.
Lovely chap. I mean, I really love his YouTube channel and the things he's done over the years. But not only has he's a really enterprising guy, isn't he? Really, obviously quite an entrepreneur, as well as a very, very talented, creative luthier. Because he's he's got I think he runs a guitar museum now down in Dorset, doesn't he?
It's I think it's opening, if not already open, but he's in the process of building this. I think it's called the Dorset Guitar Museum, but where you can go down. So we've got to go and do that. I mean, Dorset, I used to work in Dorset. It's not that far from where you and I live. We could be there in an hour or so. Yeah.
Easy to get to. And he's also, what he's done with Crimson Guitars is really, that's something that hardly anyone has been able to do. One of the things that I think is certainly apparent to me in our industry is that there's a bit of a ceiling on how far you can take your new guitar company. You've got people like MB Guitars and, SVL and people who are very, very talented and do well, James Collins, and just create incredible instruments. But for them to grow into a larger company is, there's a little bit of a step too far, to go ahead and then become that next big company.
We'll look at who you're competing against.
Well, exactly.
The behemoths, so there's always going to be two. And some in some ways, that's the premium of having a boutique, handmade, luthier focused instrument, right? Because even from the likes of Gibson, PRS, Fender, people ultimately aspire, if they could, to purchase one of those guitars with that name on the headstock, to have a custom shop, Murphy Lab.
Well, there we go.
Instrument which has been worked on, or whatever it is from Fender, custom shop guitar that someone's it's only had one set of hands on it.
Exactly. Tom Murphy's in there dipping guitars in coffee, leaving them out in the rain. Careful now, Matt. Anyway, so there's those guys. One of the things I really like about what Ben's done at Crimson is he's managed to take that kind of company that he's built, like SVL or MB Guitars or whomever, James Collins, of being like a one-man band doing custom stuff, and he's managed to innovate around it and create not only this business now that they do make custom guitars, and I'd probably guess, and maybe I'm wrong, that actually making guitars and custom guitars is probably the smallest part of their business now. And I actually assume that he probably does more business in the Luthier school that he's built and tools. I think he also recognised that in making a lot of his own tools when he was a luthier, that actually he could sell all those tools as well. So why not sell tools and finishes and things like that? So he's got that whole brand now where, if you don't go to him for guitars, certainly you probably go to him for tools and for, as accessories and things like that.
Yeah, I bought a bunch of his stuff. It's really good because previously I used to get all my stuff from Stu Mac.
Yeah.
In the States, and it's really expensive. I mean, they do good stuff, Stu Mac, but it comes at a ridiculous premium in price, and particularly if you live overseas, it used to come with extortionate shipping and taxes and stuff like that. But he's churning out really decent stuff that I've got. Let's see if we can get him on the show and have a chat to him, and then that'll be it. He'll convince me to go onto one of his courses, change my life.
That will happen. And, I'm going to reach out to him just so that I can see you squirm when he's telling you to do and join the...
Well, he did at the guitar show. He did. I mean, but mate, I had a 30-second conversation with the guy because I saw him literally at the end of the show when everyone was packing down. And so I kind of pounced on him just because I'm a bit of a fan. Yeah. And he was super nice and super engaged. And, I'd literally just kind of accosted him and he asked, what's the Guitar Smarts podcast and everything. Oh, that sounds brilliant. I'll have a listen, etc. And I told him about, my ambition and desire to go on one of his courses. And he was like super encouraging to absolutely come down, come and chat to us. We'd love to talk to you about it. Obviously he's there to sell the package and sell the product, but it wasn't a sell. He was just engaged and interested that somebody had that passion and wanted to come and experience it and learn. So he just said, anytime you want to come down and just chat to us about it and have a look, please do. So, maybe that's what I need.
Maybe that is what you need to do, mate. Maybe you just need to just plan it over the next few years. Just say, right, this year is the year that I'm going to take 2 weeks out of my schedule this year and go and do, one of their intensive, Luthier courses, come away with a guitar and a hell load of new skills for, and then just like, then you need the workshop at home. Then you need, to get that building at the end of the garden, and you need to get workbenches built, and you need to get your tools hung on the walls, and you're going to need to buy a lot more tools as well, and then, then you need to hand in your notice at work so that you can start going round to wood suppliers and hardwood suppliers and then it'll all just, come together.
Somehow it'll all come together. The kids will pay for themselves. The mortgage will be done. The price of gas will disappear. And no, but to be fair, there's always reasons not to do it. But what I do like, and what I've always done or tried to do with anything, is set like little incremental goals. Because if you think about the end result of trying to get from where I am now to having a workshop equipped with machinery that I understand how to use and the skills to do it, and to then be able to sell guitars to people to generate a revenue stream that then supports me. I mean, if I think about it in that way, it's just like, it's daunting, right? It's there's too many things that need to happen between A and Z or Z, depending on which continent you're on, that need to happen to make that a reality, right? But ever was it thus, depending on any goal that you set yourself, that's a big, hairy goal, right? So break it up into small things.
That's right. Think about the brick, not the wall, as I remember.
Oh, this is you.
Will Smith quote was, but Will Smith also said, "Keep my wife's name out of your goddamn mouth," or whatever it was.
He did, and then physically abused somebody. So how did he not get cancelled for that?
I don't know. He pretty much has, hasn't he? I mean, what else has he done since then? I don't know.
No,
I don't know. No. But anyway.
Different thing. Yeah, so I think the next thing is break it up. What is the next thing that I really want to be able to learn and do in terms of guitar luthiery and do that and do that. So yeah, man, cool. Right. Well, I feel like my therapy session is over, but I dare say we should continue that in the near future.
Yeah, for sure. I tell you what I want to talk about on an upcoming podcast, by the way, just give people a thing, because is pickups. I want to talk about pickups because pickup technology is changing. It's really changing. Fender have got their new pickups out that are like different magnets. I don't know if you remember.
No,
I can't remember what they're called. There are a different range of pickups now that are coming into advanced models that have got brand new magnet technology in and noiseless and stuff like that. Fishman's Fluent stuff,
Oh, yeah.
all this stuff that's been coming out now that, LR Bags have got these new acoustic pickups that you can literally stick under the bridge and they work.
That's
so
cool.
pickup technology is changing. And I want to kind of look at some of the new products that are out and kind of have a chat about them in the upcoming podcast.
Cool.
So kind of going on from our Luthiery guitar build conversation, next time we get together, let's have a chat about pickups.
Is it innovation for innovation's sake? Is it broken in the first place? Does it need fixing? Is it an improvement? Yeah, maybe. Let's see.
Is it? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Do you know what? I always think that's a little bit of a cop-out kind of thing. Because I kind of understand when people say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yeah, but that's like saying, what's wrong with my horse, Henry Ford? I don't need a car. That's what I kind of feel like.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
But anyway, there we go. Good chat. Nice to catch up with you, mate. Any plans for this week?
Plans for this week. Well, we've got the by the time this airs, this will have already happened, but we've got the King's coronation this weekend.
It's true, absolutely.
In the UK. So I'll be well, what will I be doing? I won't be pledging my allegiance because I'm not that way inclined.
No,
I'll be having an extra day off, which is nice.
That is true. I think that's not a bad trade-in for having an unelected despot, isn't it? I mean, it just...
I think you and I share the same philosophy on the monarchy here, but we are in danger of being very divisive and alienating anybody that is a staunch royalist. So we'll probably better not go down that route. But yes, being of Indian descent,
exactly.
Suffice to say, it's an interesting dynamic, the royal family. But I choose to live in this country, so I will.
There you go.
Pay my respects in the right and appropriate way.
So same here. I'll be probably taking advantage of the quiet roads and going somewhere else maybe and doing something else. Exactly. So pretty chilled out weekend, mate, but a long one coming up. I'm going to play some more guitar. Nice. I'm going to learn some more Eric Bibb blues-esque licks on my acoustic because I enjoyed doing that yesterday. That was good fun. Nice.
And then I've got a gig start again in 2 weeks' time. So I'm just gonna enjoy some time with the family and stuff, mate, and hope the weather bloody improves in this country. We're in May now, and it's just ridiculously awful.
I'm waiting for a decent weekend to, oversee the lawn, do some moss treatment, get it scarified. Top dress it and just, wait for it all to flourish.
Yeah.
I did
See,
it
there you go. So you already have the discipline of the steps and the patience and the thing. Lawn care. Treat your fret level and recrowning on your guitar like you approach your meticulous patience to lawn care. Yeah. Man, do that. Just
in
think
fact,
of it
if
in
you
that
do
way.
put them both, if you put lawn care and guitar set up together, you get some of the secret Murphy Lab processes for aging guitars. It's Tom Murphy's. He's dipping some of them in coffee, leaving some out in the rain. And some of the others he's just throwing around in his garden. Yeah. So
well, he takes the scarifier to the tops of some of his guitars to heavy. They're the heavy relict ones.
Those the heavy relic one. That's right. Yeah.
The Tom Murphy scarified Les Paul.
That's right.
Limited to only 300 copies worldwide.
Covered in grass.
It's mostly splinters. But,
somebody will buy it, I'm sure. Probably get it at Anderton's. Other
What are you doing? What are you doing this weekend apart from waiting for the skies to clear so you can mow the lawn?
Yeah, I'll probably go swimming, go for a walk. I think family walk every weekend. Get some jobs around the house done. I've got some tiling to finish. I've got some paint to watch dry. I'll probably do that tomorrow.
This is the least rock and roll weekend both of us have got planned. No gigs,
anything to avoid.
No guitar related stuff. It's all. See, this has come full circle. This is why we need to correct this and get ourselves on a intensive guitar Luthiery course.
Yeah,
I think we've earned it. Do you reckon our respective wives would just let us take 2 or 3 months out of life? What if we went and did it together?
Not 2 or 3 months for me. I could definitely. In one day in the future, for sure, I could get I'd love to get myself on a Luthiery course of some kind.
Mate, I'd love to do that with you. Imagine if we could do that, just like get away for a few weeks and just find a nice bed and breakfast. Separate rooms,
obviously,
of course. You know, but just go and
just have a
dick
week
around with guitars all day.
That'd be fantastic. And to come away with a new, like a new guitar each, and to have had an absolute ball doing that. That would be amazing.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That'd be fantastic. Yeah.
I feel we're making the start of a plan here.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to spend some time. And now the fact that we've talked about it on the show, we've made it public and verbalised it. So if we don't follow through in some way, we're just going to appear like charlatans.
Are you saying that we're manifesting it by putting it out into the universe?
I hope we are.
Yeah.
I hope we are. I think we should. Otherwise, there's no part 2 to this conversation. It's just an empty, dead end, uninspiring, nothingness. Let's make this something. There you go. There you go, listeners.
But it has to be something now.
We're going to look back and refer to this podcast episode, aren't we?
We are, aren't we? Yeah.
Remember in episode
From that
XX
B&B
when we said
Dorset,
this? Yeah. We're here. We made it. Right. Before we get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Well, look, wonderful catching up with you, as always, mate.
Pleasure.
Looking forward to the next one. Let's have a chat about pickups and various other things, I'm sure. But until then, have yourself a cracking week, mate, and I'll speak to you soon.
Yeah, likewise, buddy. Take care.
All the best, mate. Take care. Thanks so much for listening. If you like what you hear, then remember that there's 70 odd other episodes going back over 2 years that you can check out, where we talk about all kinds of things like how to run a jam night, how to join a band, getting good live sound, even a Guitar Smarts pub quiz. Go and enjoy them. Anyway, best wishes. See you next time on the Guitar Smarts podcast.